Hi everyone. Everyone comment your name and what country you're joining from. Right, so I'm just going to get started. Oh, no. Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Welcome to day 4 of the Teens in AI Inspiration Week. My name is Hannah and I'm going to be hosting today. Inspiration Week is a key part of our International Women's Day campaign. This week is centered around International Day of Women and Girls in Science, reinforcing the urgent need to close the gender gap in STEM. Inspired by UNESCO's call to action, we are highlighting the crucial role of women in scientific innovation and tackling the importance of inclusive media representation to challenge stereotypes. By showcasing diverse role models and real opportunities in STEM, we aim to empower more young women and girls to see themselves as scientists, engineers, innovators of the future. First, a huge thank you to our incredible corporate partners, Sage Foundation, and Red Hat, for their support in making this event possible. Now I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Jade. Jade works in cybersecurity at Sage. She recently graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Networking and Cybersecurity and has interests in ethical hacking, web application testing, and cloud security. Jade's talk today will share her journey from personal experiences to her career at Sage and how these moments have shaped her passion for driving change. Centered on the theme of International Women's Day, she will be highlighting how we can accelerate action to achieve key sustainable development goals. Through relatable stories, career inspiration, and insights into the tech industry, Jade will aim to empower young minds to dream big and act boldly. If you have any questions for Jade, please put them in the Q&A box, as we will be having a Q&A session to answer any of your questions. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Jade. And I'm just going to hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Let me share my screen and we will get started. Okay. Hopefully you can all see my slides. Hannah, quick nod if you can. Yeah, okay, great. So hi everyone and welcome to my session all about accelerating action, empowering change for a better tomorrow. I am super excited to be with you here today, so let's get stuck in. On the agenda for today, we are going to chat about what International Women's Day is and why it's so important, why diversity and young minds matter, how technology is being used to accelerate action and create a better tomorrow, how your career choices can make a difference, and we will finish off by discussing some proactive things that you can do to make a difference. But before we dive into the main content of the session, I want to take a moment to introduce myself a little bit further. So, as I've been introduced, my name's Jade. I am 26 years old. I went to university when I was 21 and gained a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Networking and Cybersecurity. I'm currently working in a graduate role in the cybersecurity team at a financial and technology company called Sage. I live and work in Newcastle upon Tyne, which is in the UK. Outside of work, I love reading fantasy books and enjoying the great outdoors, either going on hikes or horse riding. And there is a reason that I'm telling you all of this information about myself. And the reason is everything from my background, my age, my interests, and my job is what makes me unique. The experiences that I've had help me bring diverse skills, perspectives, and ideas to my job. And that's the power of diversity. It's not just about who we are, but how our unique journeys contribute to innovation, problem solving, and creating a better future together. But diversity and inclusion don't just happen on their own. They require action, awareness, and a commitment to change. And that's exactly what International Women's Day is all about. So you might be wondering what International Women's Day is, although I can imagine you've covered that a lot so far this week. But International Women's Day, which is typically on the 8th of March, is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality. International Women's Day is an important day for reflection, celebration, and action. It shines a global spotlight on the achievements of women throughout history and today. But it's also a day to recognise the barriers that women have faced and, in many cases, continue to face. Barriers like limited access to education, unequal opportunities in the workplace, challenges in access in healthcare, and underrepresentation in leadership. These are challenges that persist in many parts of the world, and International Women's Day serves as a reminder of these disparities, whilst also acting as a rallying cry for change. And as Serena Williams so beautifully put it, every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. We're strongest when we cheer each other on. Her words are a powerful reminder that change doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when we celebrate one another, lift each other up, and work together to accelerate action towards a more equitable world. Allyship is one of the most important ways we can promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Being an ally means using your voice, your actions, and your privilege to support and uplift others, especially those who are underrepresented or marginalised. Allyship in practice means listening and taking time to understand the challenges that women and people face, speaking up to challenges and unfair practices of bias when you see them, helping to remove barriers and build bridges to make sure everybody has equal opportunities, and mostly being consistent with these actions. Being an ally isn't just a one time action, it's a commitment and it's a continuous effort. When it comes to International Women's Day, allyship is critical because it's not just about celebrating women's achievements, it's about taking action to create environments where women can thrive. So, I want to move on and show some statistics on why initiatives like International Women's Day are so important. For context, to help you understand this slide, the Gender Equality Index gives the EU and member states a score between 1 and 100, and a score of 100 would mean that that country had reached full equality between women and men. So the Gender Equality Index for the EU in 2024 stands at 71 out of 100. Breaking this down, health equality was given the highest score of 88.6, showing that healthcare was relatively equitable across the EU. On the other hand, power equality was given the lowest score of 61.4, highlighting the underrepresentation of women in decision-making roles in industry. These scores collectively show us that whilst progress has been made, there are areas, particularly in power and knowledge, where significant action is needed. It's also important to note that achieving gender equality doesn't just benefit women, it benefits society as a whole, contributes to economic growth, innovation, and overall well-being. There are some further statistics I want to highlight that demonstrate the pressing gender inequalities that women and girls face globally. So, on average, women spend 2.5 times more hours on unpaid domestic care work than men. This burden is even more pronounced in regions like Northern Africa and Western Asia, where traditional gender roles are deeply entrenched. This imbalance restricts women's access to education, career opportunities, and financial independence. Secondly, an estimated 640 million girls and women worldwide were married in childhood, with one-third of these cases occurring in India alone. And whilst progress has been made, child marriage rates have decreased from 1 in 4 girls being married under 18 to 1 in 5 over the last 25 years, but these numbers are still far too high. This slide aims to highlight some of the critical health challenges that impact billions of people globally. So, the proportion of people unable to access essential healthcare services has improved by about 15% between the year 2000 and 2021. However, progress has significantly slowed since 2015, leaving approximately 4.5 billion people without coverage in 2021. This lack of access hinders the ability to prevent and treat diseases, leading to poorer health outcomes and higher mortality rates, especially in lower income regions. And another example of health inequality is demonstrated by health related financial hardship. So, out of pocket health spending continues to be a major issue. In 2019, it impacted 2 billion people worldwide, with 1 billion people facing catastrophic health expenditures. And more concerningly, 344 million people were pushed into extreme poverty due to these expenses. This shows the urgent need for policies that improve healthcare access and affordability. And this slide addresses some of the pressing challenges in global education. So, progress in achieving global education equality has been disappointingly slow. By 2019, only 58% of students worldwide were able to achieve minimum proficiency in reading. And globally, education systems are not meeting the needs of all learners. Only 50% of primary schools and 62% of secondary schools have the basic infrastructure required to support students with disabilities. This lack of accessibility creates further barriers for children with disabilities, preventing them from achieving their full potential. And the final statistics I want to show you highlight some key insights into gender representation in STEM and AI fields. So this bar graph shows clearly the disparity in representation between women and men in STEM roles. Whilst men dominate both STEM and non-STEM roles, the underrepresentation for women is particularly apparent in STEM fields. This gap highlights the systemic barriers that women face when entering and advancing in technology-related careers. However, on a more positive note, LinkedIn data has revealed encouraging progress, and the concentration of female talent in AI has more than doubled since 2016. This demonstrates the impact of targeted initiatives, mentoring, and awareness campaigns aimed at increasing diversity in AI. The statistics I've shown you underscore the persistent gaps and challenges in achieving equality across various sectors, but they also highlight some opportunities for growth. And that's growth that can be driven by embracing diversity. So, diversity matters, not just as a concept, but as a practical strategy for progress and innovation. And there are many reasons why. When people from different backgrounds, experiences, and cultures come together, they bring fresh ideas and unique approaches to problem solving. For example, diverse teams in tech have been shown to develop products that better serve a wide range of customers because they account for varying needs and varying viewpoints. Inclusion means everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to contribute. A truly inclusive environment enables individuals to thrive and perform their best, knowing that their ideas and efforts are recognized. As you've seen, diversity drives progress, and this principle can also be applied to empowering the voices of the younger generation. Young minds bring fresh perspectives, unbridled creativity, and a sense of urgency that often inspires global change. Here on the left, we see Boyan Slat, who is a Dutch inventor and environmentalist. At just 16 years old, he founded the Ocean Cleanup, an organization aimed to rid the ocean of plastic pollution. His innovative solutions using large scale systems to clean up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch have transformed the way we think about environmental sustainability and cleanup efforts. On the right is Greta Thunberg, a Swedish climate activist whose school strike for climate change in 2018 sparked a global movement. Greta has become an iconic voice in the fight against climate change, urging leaders worldwide to take immediate and meaningful access. These two individuals exemplify why young minds matter. They are proof that age is no barrier to create an impactful change. Now, let's take a closer look at diversity within the company I work for and how it aligns with broader industry trends. So, the cybersecurity industry as a whole has significant work to do to improve gender representation. According to data from May 2024, women make up just 17.9% of the cybersecurity industry, whilst men accounted for 82.1%. This shows just how underrepresented women are in this field. At Sage, we're actively working to change this narrative. In January 2024, women comprised 27% of our cybersecurity workforce. By December of the same year, we'd increased that number to 32%. Whilst we're proud of this progress, we know there's still a lot more to achieve. Looking ahead, Sage has set clear and ambitious goals that by the end of 2025, we'll aim to have a gender split of 40% women, 60% men, or better within the cybersecurity team. Our efforts at Sage serve as an example of what is possible when companies prioritize diversity and inclusion. But how did we achieve this? Firstly, we started by delivering diversity, equity, and inclusion workshops, which were to raise awareness and help employees understand and appreciate diverse perspectives and practices. Our talent team worked tirelessly to support underrepresented groups such as minorities or people with disabilities through the recruitment process. And as demonstrated on the previous slide, we set measurable goals for diversity within hiring and retention. And finally, we shared successes and celebrated milestones in diversity efforts to reinforce commitments across the company. So, what role does technology play in all of this? Well, technology can be used as a tool to help improve equality around the world. If we dive deeper into how technology is being used to improve factors relating to Sustainable Development Goal 3, which is good health and well-being, there are three main areas that come to mind. Firstly, remote healthcare. Specifically, think about healthcare accessibility during COVID-19. When it was unsafe to leave the house for elderly or immunocompromised individuals, telemedicine helped these people access care without risking their health through exposure. And next, we have AI for disease diagnosis. AI tools like Google DeepMind are used to diagnose diseases such as breast cancer, and they are often used earlier and more accurately. These tools can sometimes detect abnormalities faster than a human specialist could. And finally, we have improved health monitoring through wearable or carryable devices. So, devices like Garmin's, Fitbits, and Apple Watches rely on technology to track vital signs, and then they use this data to encourage preventative care and healthy lifestyles. But SDG 3 is not the only area that's seen improvement through technology. SDG 4, quality education, has also reaped the benefits. Think of e-learning platforms. Again, thinking back to COVID-19 pandemic, platforms like Google Classroom allowed millions of students to continue learning remotely, reducing the impact that the global pandemic had on their education. Technology has also introduced novel ways of learning like gamification. So we have apps like Duolingo and Quizlet, making learning engaging and accessible through gameable approaches. Without technology, we wouldn't be able to build the applications to do this. And then we also have improvements in assistive technologies for inclusive education. Tools like Microsoft's Immersive Reader have leveraged the recent enhancements in natural language processing of AI models to support students with dyslexia by improving reading comprehension. And finally, for SDG 5, gender equality. Improvements in technology have allowed women to access education skills and training that is specifically tailored for them. So we have e-learning platforms like SheCodes offering tech training and STEM skills specifically aimed at women, which in turn increases women's representation in tech. Next, we have financial inclusion with digital payments. So we have mobile banking apps like M-Pesa, empowering women in rural areas, giving them access to financial services. And finally, we have health apps that are designed specifically for women. Apps like Clue and Flow provide women with tools to help track their menstrual health. And in developing regions, these technologies are helping to break taboos and stigma. So we've learned how technology is being used as a tool to improve different SDGs, but how is technology being used to accelerate action in different industries? Firstly, in the financial services industry, technology has been used to automate manual processes, enhance security, and in driving inclusion by bringing banking and digital services online. These changes help financial services be more accessible, secure, and user friendly for individuals. It also allows users in remote parts of the world access to financial support. Next, we have the retail and e-commerce industry. Technology is being used to enhance customer experiences, improve operational efficiency, and cater to evolving consumer demands. An important sector that's benefiting from technology is the energy and sustainability sector. Companies in this industry are using technology to address climate change and global inequalities. We have one company called Tesla Solar Roof that makes renewable energy more accessible. So, communities in rural Africa are now gaining access to electricity through affordable solar panels, all thanks to new technologies. And finally, we see the agriculture and farming industries utilizing technology to address global challenges like food shortages, climate change, and population growth. At Sage, we are deeply committed to addressing gender inequalities and reducing underrepresentation in technology. One way that we do this is by organizing impactful STEM events designed to inspire and empower the next generation of female leaders. A great example of this is as our Empower Cyber event, which is a 2-day educational initiative supported by local, national, and international businesses. This event is specifically aimed at high school age girls, showcasing the diversity and excitement of careers in IT, technology, AI, and cybersecurity. Ultimately, our goal is to bridge the gender gap in technology and improve diversity in fields that are traditionally male dominated. Through initiatives like Empower, we are not just showcasing opportunities available, but actively building pathways for girls to step into these roles. So now you've learned why diversity is so important and how technology is being used to improve global inequalities. But how can we use our careers to accelerate action and make positive global changes? When you think about a career in technology, it's easy to assume that it's all about coding or being a developer, but in reality, the tech industry is incredibly diverse, offering opportunities in a wide range of roles. If you choose a career in technology, you can serve as an innovator on some of the world's biggest challenges, be it sustainability, inequality, or access to healthcare. For example, as a machine learning engineer, you could create AI models that detect diseases earlier, improving lives globally. In cybersecurity, you might protect critical infrastructure or ensure secure access to resources, driving trust and inclusion. A role like user experience or user interface designer enables you to make technology more accessible and inclusive, breaking barriers for those who struggle with traditional tools. So, if you're considering a career in technology, one of the most important things is building the right technical skills. AI and machine learning are at the heart of some of the most exciting developments in technology today. By developing algorithms, you may enable machines to solve problems and tasks that normally require human intelligence. Cloud computing is the backbone of modern technology. It's how companies are delivering services, store data, and scale their operations. Cybersecurity is all about protecting systems, data, and networks from attacks. And of course, programming is a foundational skill in technology. Writing code is the tool that you'll use to create apps, websites, automations, and more. However, we can't just look at technical skills. We need to talk about soft skills too. These are often overlooked but absolutely crucial for success in technology. First up, we have communication. In tech roles, you'll often work with people who have different expertise, from engineers to stakeholders to clients. You need to be able to clearly express your ideas and understand others to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Next, collaboration. Technology projects are rarely done in isolation. Whether it's designing an app or rolling out a new system, you'll likely be working with a team. Then we have problem solving. Tech is all about solving problems, whether it's debugging a program or optimizing a system. Being able to approach challenges logically and creatively is an invaluable skill. And finally, analytical skills. In a world where data is everywhere, the ability to collect, analyze, and draw meaningful insights from information can set you apart. So, what can you do to help accelerate action this International Women's Day? Each of us has a role to play in driving global equality, and it starts with small, meaningful steps. There are 4 main actions we can all take. The first step is to educate ourselves, learn about gender inequalities, learn about the biases that exist and the challenges that women face in various industries. By understanding these issues, we can raise awareness and share knowledge with our friends, families, and communities. Next, we can challenge stereotypes and bias. We can speak up when you hear biased comments and encourage open and inclusive conversations. Next, we can actively support and celebrate the people around you. This doesn't just have to be women. We should recognize and celebrate the achievements of others, offer encouragement, and be a champion for others' aspirations and goals. And finally, take small but impactful actions every day. Advocate for equal opportunities in your school, workplace, or community. And by focusing on these steps, educating, challenging, supporting, and taking action, we can each play a part in creating a more inclusive world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's going to Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm going to open the Q&A session now. So please put your questions in the Q&A and we'll answer them. So, first question. How will AI help women that can't use modern technologies, like they don't have access to those technologies?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one. So, AI will be used more to make sure that they have access to those technologies. I don't think if they don't already have access, AI is going to help us make solutions so that they do have access and then can get more equal opportunities that way by accessing technology, financial applications, that sort of thing.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to the next question. Um, can you tell us more about user experience or user analysis design? I think I
Yeah,
got
of course.
that right.
User experience is all about making sure that every user who uses an application has a good experience. So, whether that's an adult, a child, somebody with a disability, a hearing impairment, maybe, it's making sure that everybody has like an equal and good experience with an application, and it's designing those to make sure that everybody has that experience when they use them. That is the foundations of the role and what you would do if you did that job.
Thank you. How will AI help solve problems of gender inequalities in countries?
Yeah, great question. So a couple of examples from the presentation are relevant. So we've got AI helping women make informed decisions. So AI can be used as an educational tool. So maybe if they didn't have access to education, they can use AI to learn and upskill. But then we also have AI drive-in solutions like education online and things like that, so they can access it in more remote parts of the world where women typically don't have access to education.
Thank you so much. And we're just going to finish off with one more question as we've only got 1 minute left.
Sure.
Um, is AI more effective in educating people, especially women, if they aren't experienced with computers?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily more effective. I just think it's maybe a more accessible tool. So not everybody can go to school, not everybody can afford to go to university, whereas AI online at the moment can be free. So as long as you have internet access, you would be able to get that education. So I think that it's not necessarily better, it's just maybe more accessible.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jade. We're
Thank
at
you.
past now. So thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm now going to introduce our next. Hiya. Sorry, I was on mute there. Um, Jet is a freelance accessibility consultant and an artist and an activist who uses their experiences as a person with disabilities to drive positive change in the world. Working in this industry for 6 years now, they have been able to gain incredible experience from household names such as the Paralympics, Virgin Atlantic, UK government, and more. Their talk is centered around breaking barriers and navigating the complexities within the tech and creativity industry. Again, if you have any questions for Jet, please put them in the Q&A box. We will be coming back to them at the end for the Q&A session. So Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm going to hand over to you now.
Perfect, thank you. Let me share my screen, 2 seconds. Right, it should come up in just a second. There we go. Can you see my screen? Yeah, perfect. So hi everyone. Thank you, Hannah, for that introduction. I'm Jet. Quick visual description of me for anyone who has any visual impairments. I am a white femme person with a pink buzz cut that is normally a bit brighter than this. And I am wearing pink and gold glasses with pink eyeliner and a black hoodie. And I'm so excited to be joining you all for this session today. This is, I think, my third inspiration talk that I've done, so it's super exciting to be returning back. But yeah, so the title of my talk is all about changing the world, one yapping session at a time. Let me, there we go. So this is me as a quick overview. I am a digital media design student based in Winchester, which is about an hour away from London. And I am a third year, so I'm just finishing up my degree and I specialise in accessible and inclusive design. And yeah, so super exciting. Let me find me clicking through. Why? Three large letters that hold a lot of power behind them. They're potentially the three biggest letters that shape our entire existence. Why is the sky blue? Why are people here? And why are they in a wheelchair? As a species, it's in our nature to not only be problem solvers, but play a constant game of spot the difference. For evidence of this, literally just look at children. They haven't yet learned the restraints of social rules and expectations. They are happy just to go up to people who are visibly different and ask them why they don't look like me. Unless we are exposed to different groups of people in our everyday lives, how on earth are we expected to grow or develop an understanding of others' struggles? Growing up as a physically able bodied person, I've had very few experiences of disability in my childhood, and even less experiences of media representation of disabled people. Through family friends, I knew a couple of disabled people, but apart from the knowledge of their existence, I was clueless about disability and accessibility. Then in 2011, a TV show came out, The Spartacle Mystery, a show about an alternative universe where the parents just disappear, as you can see here. And it's only the kids left. Two of the main characters were visibly disabled actors, one of which was a wheelchair user, and the other one was a congenital amputee, which means that they were missing that arm from birth. This was never a defining descriptor of them, but just an additional layer to their characters. Over the years, there has been more mainstream, authentic representation of disabled people, but I am still pleasantly surprised when I see people who look like me on the screen. So, a bit about my disability backstory. So, although I was born able bodied and I'd spent my entire childhood as a very active and healthy person, I got ill in 2021. So, 4 years ago, um, I was going through a lot of trauma mentally and emotionally and physically, and my body basically shut down. I had also just been given the news that I was autistic. That was a confirmed diagnosis through, which basically means that my brain is wired a little bit differently to everyone else's, and I struggled to understand some of those social communication skills. As my health rapidly declined, I found myself consuming more and more media and TV. So, a lot of TV shows, films, and books, as I didn't have the energy for going out and living a normal, quote unquote, normal life like all of my peers and like I was so used to doing. I went from being a lifeguard and a swim teacher and like being in the gym and swimming every day to being a wheelchair user at university at the age of 18 all by myself in just a matter of, I think it was about 9 months. So quite a big change. But yeah, so it was a lot of obstacles that I was now facing. So I was plunged into a completely new and inaccessible world where I was now seen as other and was presented with daily intrusive comments from people, shops that I couldn't access, and roads with no dropped curbs. The list goes on, and I was presented with two choices. As I was at university at the time, I had a choice of whether I stay at university or leave university and return to it a couple of years later. Being faced with these new obstacles, I had two choices: hide from the world, which I was already doing, or suck it up and get on with it. Of course, I chose the latter, and that is a choice that I still make every single day, 3 years on. Everyone has their own struggles, and for me, I am very, very grateful to be alive and have the opportunities that I've had, and I try not to let anything stop me. I am a very, very determined person and will quite happily push through as much as I possibly can, which has led to the detriment of some bad choices. But throughout the last 3.5 years, my perspective on everything has changed drastically. I've seen firsthand how life can be flipped on its head in a matter of seconds. I've watched those close to me pass away due to inadequate healthcare, written hundreds of angry emails and LinkedIn posts. But most importantly, I've had some of the most powerful conversations of my life. I think I've always been a yapper. I have ADHD and autism, so can easily talk at 100 miles an hour, especially when I'm excited about anything. When I first became disabled, yapping developed a new meaning for me. For those who don't know, yapping is basically when someone talks far too much or is an oversharer, and I am a very big self-proclaimed yapper. So every day I get asked questions by complete strangers. Was it an accident? How did you go to the bathroom? And even some people who treat me like a literal child despite being a fully grown adult. With every comment, a conversation grows, discussing how things aren't appropriate for people to say, showing the everyday barriers that I have to tackle on a daily basis, and most importantly, defying stereotypes. When I was working in physical work environments, I used to get the, oh, it's so inspirational, you're so brave, etc., 24/7 for literally just existing as a person. You see, I find issues with the word inspirational and what it means for me. If you see me going about my day just in the same way as everyone else, that is not inspirational at all. But if you see my work and my activism and say that's inspirational, you're accurate. So when is it okay to call a disabled person inspirational? Exactly the same time that you would use it for anyone else. So next time you see a disabled person out in public, instead of asking them, oh, what happened to you? Or you're so inspirational for leaving the house today, rethink and go, hi, how are you? And start a conversation that's based on a positive point. So on the screen is a couple of different examples of, please don't call me inspirational for leaving the house, just existing, or being on social media, all of which are comments that I've heard very often. So some of my work projects include Rights on Flights, which is a big international campaign for promoting disabled rights on airlines. Making Space, which is a company based out in LA that is striving for better representation of disabled people in the media. And I actually worked in Teens and AI just before I got ill back in 2021 as a marketing assistant, which I absolutely loved. And I owe a lot of my job experience to Elena. She was an incredible mentor. So this work is truly inspirational, but me getting out of bed isn't. Okay, so what does this all have to do with AI and technology? Much like the media representation being crucial to ensuring inclusion, it's essential for algorithms to be created with inclusion at the forefront of decisions. If you're designing products or services that you want to make inclusive, ensure that your research is inclusive. Approach charities and organisations that are designed to support marginalised groups and ask if you can have a chat with them about improving the inclusivity of your products. So, going forward, have a think of who you can be including in those decisions, whether it's small little things like using visual descriptions as a way when you're meeting new people to go, hi, this is a very brief visual description of who I am or what I'm wearing, because you never know what people are going through, or whether it's learning to slow down and appreciate the slow speed of life. So for me, I make sure that every single day I get out of bed, I get outside, and on the days that I can't go outside, I open my window so that I can listen to the birds and have the fresh breeze come through. But yes, so inclusive tech is so important as we are growing as a society. There is so much inclusive tech that is coming out left, right, and centre. You've got super exciting projects like AI being used more regularly, such as Copilot and ChatGPT, which is able to really condense down your research time when you're doing big projects or social media posts, and you don't have the energy to trundle through tons and tons and tons of websites just to find a little bit of information that's useful for you. I use it on a daily basis for my degree, especially because I don't have the time or the energy to sit through hundreds of pages of research documents to find exactly what I need. But you can also use it for digesting content and giving a summary, which is really helpful for neurodivergent people. We also have new tools coming out daily, such as Microsoft accessibility features and Apple accessibility features, both of whom are the market leaders for creating accessible and inclusive products that have been tested with disabled people at the forefront of their designs. So a couple of examples of this is speech to text. Microsoft also have a focus thing on Microsoft Word where it basically blocks off your sentence that you're reading, so it helps you to focus when you're reading through things. You can change fonts and stuff on PDFs now. So the possibilities of inclusive tech are endless. So my question for you guys is, what are you going to create next, and how are you going to ensure that inclusivity is at the very heart of what you do? Make sure that inclusivity is at the forefront of your design and not just as an afterthought, as I see so many companies doing. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to me yap. And any questions, just let me know and I'd be happy to answer. But yeah, thank you. Stop sharing my screen. There we go.
Thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed your talk. We're gonna move on to the Q&A session now.
Perfect.
How do I stay up to date on inclusivity?
Wow, that's a big loaded question. Talk to people in your life and make sure that you are having people in your social circles that you might not necessarily agree with or who look different to you. I found that this was massive, where I'm now in so many different circles where a lot of my friends have different disabilities, so that I'm able to learn from them and kind of stay up to date with their struggles and include that in my work that I'm building, and paving a better way for our futures. Staying up to date with product testing. So LinkedIn is a fab option for staying up to date with this. You can also sign up for a load of newsletters on inclusive design. I myself also try and put out as much information as I can on my Instagram every time I find a new accessible feature. But yeah.
Amazing. I'm going to move on to the next question. This is a very loaded question. What motivates you in life?
Oh, I've always said since I was young, when I was a child, my dad brought me a book set that was 10 women who changed the world. And I was always like, I'm going to be one of those people. I am going to be changing the world. I don't know how yet or what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be in one of these books. And yeah, so my motivator has always been to change the world, make it more inclusive and more accessible. And also, I set myself the goal of finding a job where I can wake up every day feeling excited about what I'm doing. And if I don't wake up excited in the morning, I'm in the wrong job. And so far, touch wood, over the last 6 years, I've woken up excited to go to work every day. And I genuinely love my job so much. And I love watching results and watching communities and stuff grow.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the next question. What would you say to those who are going through a similar situation to you?
Oh, first of all, I'd give them a massive hug. Yeah, it can be really, really tough, and acceptance doesn't come easy at all. You will still be grieving your old life for many years, probably. And yeah, it's not one of those things that you can kind of just shove down and stuff. Find those around you who can support you, connect with other people who are going through similar situations. So for me, I hadn't had much experience of other people. I kind of felt quite isolated when I first got ill. And so I set up an online community of 100 disabled people from all across the UK, as a place where we can connect and share experiences and share tips and stuff, to help people feel less alone, which it did do. So yeah, social media is a fab place, to find others who are going through similar things, even if it's not exactly the same situation or conditions.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is more of a compliment than a question, but someone asked, why are you so cool?
Thank you.
Um, Another question is, where can you start freelancing?
Oh, so I started doing a lot of volunteering roles when I was quite young. Literally just chatting to whoever I possibly could. And was like, hi, do you need any work done? Which helped me to build up my portfolio massively. And I still now do quite a lot of volunteering work alongside my freelancing stuff. But once you've got kind of like a portfolio going for you, also set up a LinkedIn as well. Like LinkedIn is so underrated. So many people in my class are like, I have no idea how to use LinkedIn. And I'm like, I will show you guys. Like, here is a full rundown. Like, you need to be getting on it. But I will literally just send people who I look up to and aspire their like job position and who they are. And I would just send them a message going, hi, would you be up for a coffee? I'd really love to chat about your job and the work that you're doing. So that's how I got my foot in the door with Microsoft. Was I was like, hi to the head of accessibility and was like, I'd really love to have a coffee with you. Would you be open to this? And that's led to some really, really cool projects coming out of it. And just being open and honest with people as well. I'm a very non-traditional professional person, so everyone always says to me that I'm really informal, which I kind of use to my advantage. So I will literally turn up to work meetings in like the brightest clothes I can possibly find, platform pink Crocs, like the full like setup. So I basically make myself as personable as possible, so that I'm relatable for those who I'm speaking to.
Thank you so much. Love the platform Crocs. I've
Yeah,
got a pair myself, love them.
yeah, they are so comfy. And also the perks of being a wheelchair user is that I don't even have to walk in them. So it's perfect. My feet don't get sore after a day of
Best of both
walking.
worlds.
Yeah.
Could you talk more about inclusive tech?
Yes. Is there a specific area of inclusive tech or just inclusive tech as a
Um,
whole?
they have not mentioned, but I do actually have a question from myself. I am
Yes.
dyslexic, so I
Yes, me
would love
too.
to know more about tech that could be used for dyslexia.
Yeah, so there is so many tools for dyslexia. Let me literally load up Microsoft on my laptop. 2 seconds. I am a massive fan of both Microsoft and Apple's accessibility tools. I use both of them on a daily basis. I personally love text to speech features where it can read things out for me. So I have it on my phone because I struggle with my hand grip. I have it where if I double tap on the back of my phone 3 times, it will automatically read the entire screen for me and I can adjust the speed that it's saying. And I can also screenshot things by just tapping the back of my phone. You can do a similar feature on Microsoft platforms like Word, etc. Let me load up Word so that I've got a visual reminder of what I'm talking about. So when you go into view on Word, you can load up the focus mode, and you can also load up inclusive reader as well. So it will basically read things out to you. You can choose the speed. and it can even break things down into syllables as well, which is really helpful. And you can change like the column width and the page color and put on like a line focus, all of that kind of stuff. I personally find as well that audiobooks are more inclusive for me than sitting down and reading a physical book. But if you are wanting to sit down and read a book, the Kindle app is a great app to have on devices. So I have it on my iPad because I don't have a Kindle. But it's a free app for download. So lots of different things like that can just be adapted. There is also some specialist software that I have on my laptop that will transcribe things for me if I'm in a lecture. It will do an auto transcribe, which basically means that I have captions, but then I'm able to go and review those notes after the lecture as well, so that I don't have to like spend all my energy trying to remember what they're saying whilst typing it up and still listening, which is fab. So yeah, there's kind of something for everyone, and there's like so many different features. I recommend literally loading up accessibility part on your settings of your iPad, laptop, phone, whatever it is that you're using as your primary device, and literally just playing around. Like there is so many tools. So another one that I have as well is that I have bold text on, and it's larger text across all of my different apps. I also have high contrast on, and I color code absolutely everything. So my Google Calendar is all different color coding, so I know exactly what work I'm doing when, just by looking at it, and I don't have to read for it. Also, using icons rather than just words can also help a lot with dyslexia, so that you have a visual prompt rather than just reading the actual text itself. But yeah, so lots of different tools available. Literally just have a play around and see if anyone's you fancy or get along with particularly. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is literally just playing. Like I'm a big child and I will literally just play with everything. I do wheelchair maintenance for all my friends, where I literally will just take apart their entire wheelchairs and build them back together, because I'm like, I love seeing how it all works and stuff, and I love looking at it all and stuff. So yeah, just play around, be experimentative. And if you can't find a tool that works for you, then reach out to your local companies. Also, universities quite often will do different tech programs as well. So I'm just about to start my master's course in inclusive design, which basically will create inclusive technologies. So I will be designing solutions for people around me who haven't found assistive tech that works for them in other contexts. But yeah,
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was really, really helpful.
no problem.
Moving on to the next question.
Yeah.
It can be very hard to create new ideas when AI can be a barrier when it comes to plagiarism. How do you encourage inclusiveness and creativity?
So this is something that I struggle with on a daily basis as someone who works in a very creative industry. I work in marketing and content creation and social media, and I have seen all of my classmates get so stressed about the impact that AI is going to have on us, and wondering, are we even going to have a career once we actually graduate from university? And that's really hard to see and to kind of come to grasps with. But I think the role that we have with AI is going to shift more from being the ones who are instructing the AI to being the ones that guide it. We have to see AI as a inclusive tool that we can actually use and harness to work with us rather than against us. So I use AI primarily for things like copywriting and stuff, but I will always ask it to cite its sources as well, so that I make sure that the things that I'm reading are credible, and back checking them, especially if they're going out on like partnership posts for clients and stuff. I always have to make sure that all of my sources are up to date and stuff. So they're a really good signposting tool, but I wouldn't say to use them for more than just signposting, if that makes sense. So I personally do not use any design tools on AI. I occasionally use them if I'm like struggling to come up with inspiration. I'll be like, "Hi, this is the project that I'm working on. have you got any ideas and stuff, and having it as like a sounding board rather than doing it for me, if that makes sense.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Moving on to another question. Can I use LinkedIn without work experience in AI? How do I
Yes.
form a resume with no work experience?
Yes. So honestly, the way that I started when I had no work experience was that I would sit myself down on a Friday night and was like, I'm going to build a website today for a completely imaginary client. Like, there is nothing stopping you from downloading Wix or Canva and literally going, okay, I'm going to do this project. This is something that I've seen online where people are charging for it. Let me just play around, get familiar with the tools, so that you can build up your portfolio, but you don't necessarily have to have clients' names behind you. And as you build up your portfolio and build up your skills and stuff and diversifying your skill set, you will find that people naturally come and find you, especially on LinkedIn, if you're posting about relevant things. So I will quite often post about accessibility features that I found or talks that I've been to, and then on the back of that, I'll have conversations with people about those things. But the main thing is like literally using it as a long form posting site. So having kind of like a blog set up on LinkedIn to basically talk about what you're learning that week, or what you're interested in at the time, and kind of relating it back to the subject that you want to go into.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We only have time for one more question as we only got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
What is the advantage of yapping?
Oh, so many advantages of yapping. I yap 24/7. I love it. It makes you have conversations that you otherwise wouldn't have had. So for me, by constantly oversharing everything and being so open with talking to people and explaining my story, it opens people up in a way that you don't see very often, of them also being vulnerable in response, so that you can really have a genuine conversation with them. It also makes some very funny content come out as well. Like, a lot of the times when I'm talking to my friends, they'll be like, "What did you just say, Chat?" I'm like, "That needs to go on my Instagram story. That is an iconic quote from me." So it kind of like is a really good icebreaker, especially in new situations where you're getting to know people. Instead, the kind of like questions of like, "What's your favorite color?" and stuff, like going deeper into kind of like what their job is, what work they're interested in, and kind of really taking an interest in that stuff, which is where yapping does really come in helpful, is because I will literally just go up to random people and be like, "Hi, let me start a conversation with you." Or people will come up to me and start a conversation with me based on like my appearance or something like that. But I will literally just go into people in public who I'm like, "I love your outfit," and then we have a conversation on the back of that. So just kind of putting yourself out there and yapping to your heart's content. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to close the Q&A session now as we're coming to the end. Thank you so much, Jet. And thank you so much, Jade, as well, to both our speakers for being here with us today. Thank you so much for everyone watching, for coming back for another day. Inspiration Week is not over. We have the last day of Inspiration Week tomorrow, so please join again tomorrow. Once again, thank you so much to our partners, Sage Foundation, and Red Hat for making this event possible. But yeah, we'll see you again tomorrow for the last day of Inspiration Week. And then, yeah, next week we have Boot Camp Week as well. So it doesn't stop. But yeah, thank you so much for the rest of your evening, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.